Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about neck tension. If you are struggling with chronic neck tension, you've probably tried stretching your neck, you've probably tried rolling your neck, you've probably even bought lots of different gadgets to dig into your neck. And you get temporary relief from that, but eventually the neck tension comes back. This is a common cycle that people fall into. What I want to teach you today is that your chronic neck tension issues might actually be a result of a vestibular problem. Your vestibular system is your onboard balance system. We're talking about the inner ear. You have a right vestibular organ, you have a left vestibular organ. The system as a whole helps you understand which way you're going and which way is up. It is very much connected to our balance, our posture, and our overall stability. Now, if you have an imbalance with your vestibular system, that will often translate to differences in muscle tone. And it just so happens that because we have so many different vestibular reflexes, that circuitry for the vestibular system is connected to the musculature of our spine. So if we have an imbalance between sides with the vestibular system, that will translate to an imbalance in muscle tone, and often it's within the neck. So today I'm going to teach you one really important vestibular exercise to give you an experience that you can assess and reassess to see if training the vestibular system might be impactful for helping you to solve your chronic neck tension. Are you ready? Here we go. The first step is to get some kind of baseline assessment that will tell you how your neck is moving and feeling in the moment. Then we're going to perform the drill together. Then we will immediately reassess to see how your body is responding to the vestibular exercise. So getting a baseline assessment is pretty simple. You can test several different motions when it comes to your neck, and you can really choose whichever motion you want. So for example, you could check rotations and just kind of see how far you're going. What does that feel like? You could check some lateral flexions, okay? And then of course, forward flexion and extension. So you can do all of those if you want, or you can just choose a few of them. Just make sure that it's repeatable and you know how far you've gone and you know what it feels like. Maybe you have some limiting factors. You feel tension on one side, not as much on the other side. Scale it, understand where you are in the moment, and that is going to be your baseline. All right, now we'll do the exercise. This exercise is called a VOR-c. That stands for vestibulo-ocular reflex cancellation. What you'll need is a visual target. Grab a pen or a pencil. I have a Sharpie. I'm looking at a letter on the Sharpie. It's nice to look at a letter. I just think it gives you something to focus on because we're going to be gaze stabilizing on a target and we're going to be moving it. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do here because it's quite specific as far as tracking the target. So here's what you'll do. Take your visual target, and if you don't have something like this to look at, you can use your thumb. Take your visual target, place it out in front of you at an arm's length, and you're going to look at your target that is in the center position. The idea here is I'm going to move my target and follow it with my eyes. However, you can see that my head and neck is moving. So what makes this a VOR cancellation drill is that we're canceling out the VOR reflex and our eyes are merged with our head and our neck motion. So if you were to watch my eyes as I do that movement, they would be staying in the center position while my head and neck is moving. That is the specific reflex that we're training. That would be different from a VOR where we're looking at a target and let's say moving our head side to side, keeping our eyes on the target. That's the VOR reflex. The VOR-c cancels that out, so it's slightly different. So you take your target, look at it with both eyes, start to track it, moving up and down. So I'm moving through both flexion and extension, really working hard to keep my eyes on that target and to keep it clear. Okay, so it's pretty simple, but you'll be surprised. It actually can be really difficult for some people to coordinate. Some people will make a lot of mistakes with this, and they will lead with the target or lag it behind, and that would mean that their eyes are not in the center position. I want you to imagine that there is a string attached to the bridge of your nose that goes out to your visual target. Imagine that that little string is tight, right? There's tension there, and your target is lined up with the bridge of your nose. When you move, we want to keep that imaginary string under tension so that our target stays center. And so that can actually be tricky. So you're going to have to make sure that your target isn't going too far forward or lagging behind. Additionally, and this is important if you're a movement professional and you wanted to do this with somebody, you would have to evaluate what their eyes look like as they're doing the movement. And oftentimes when people need this work and the reflex is not working properly, you'll notice that their eyes are kind of flickering and doing a bunch of what we would call a catch-up saccade, where the eyes are coming off the target momentarily and then returning to the target. Everything should be very stable. The head and neck motion should be very smooth, and this should all be coordinated very nicely together. Now, there are several different positions that you could possibly assess for the VOR-Cs. Up and down is what I recommend you start with. I'm not going to show you all the positions because it's just going to take too long, but I will kind of give you an idea so that you can explore it on your own. You could also do this in a horizontal plane. Okay, so I could do some VOR-C, okay, to my right and to my left, and I could even do some angles where I'm going like this, okay, the whole time. Again, my eyes need to be in the center position merged with my head and neck motions, and you could assess all of the positions to see which one's the best one for you. For now, what I want you to do is go back to the vertical one. And you can see that I'm moving not super fast, but I'm not going super slow. This is not what we want. Okay, we actually want to move. Your background is going to be blurred from the speed that you're moving, but your target should remain clear. Okay? Once you have done, let's say, 10 repetitions and you've done a good job with it, now it's time to retest how your neck is moving and feeling. And so you would return to your baseline assessments. So check rotation, actually improved both sides, so that's cool. Lateral flexions. I don't know if my range of motion improved there, but I actually feel less tense in my neck, so great. And then you could check flexions and extensions. And you're just trying to see, how did your body respond to this? Better, same, or worse? All right, so now that you've assessed your body's response to the exercise, hopefully you got a good result. Remember, better, same, or worse. Now, here's what I want you to know about this. Not everybody is going to get better, and there are lots of reasons why. Just because the neuroanatomy that we know supports this idea doesn't mean that you can actually do the exercise and get an amazing result. Not everybody responds equally to the same stimulus. If you got a high payoff result, fantastic. You can now start to practice this exercise, possibly even several times a day, to help you start to improve the function of your vestibular system and to help you manage your chronic neck tension. If you got worse, understand that that is entirely possible, and we actually see that all the time when we're doing vestibular drills with people. Here's what here's how I want you to understand that. Let's say you have had some sort of injury, or maybe through disuse, you've arrived in this place where you have some kind of vestibular imbalance, and because of that, moving your head, neck, and eyes has become threatening. What that means is your brain and your nervous system doesn't like it, right? Because the system's not providing clear input anymore. Things are threatening when you move like that. So that's not okay. It's not okay to actually get a worse result from something like this. So we know we still have to train the system to be better, but we have to look for ways to possibly regress it to find an entry point that will work for the individual. There are tons of ways to do that, and I don't have time to teach you all of those ways. This is the kind of thing that we teach inside of our programs. But just to give you an idea, something really simple that you could try is rather than doing the drill standing up, you could actually do it sitting down. You could even sit down and possibly hold on to something so that your body felt more stable. Remember, I said the vestibular system is tied to your balance and your stability. If your brain is feeling that you are unstable in some way, it's going to be hard to get a good result from something like this because of the perceived threat levels that come with moving your head, your neck, and your eyes. So keep that in mind. Look for ways to regress it. Now, the other side of that coin is, how do we progress it? Because some people need more stimulus to get the best result, especially if you have an athletic background or you're very active and you have lots of exposure to moving very dynamically. Sometimes a vestibular drill like this is a little bit too isolated and maybe call it boring for your brain, but it might still be a useful stimulus. You're getting a result. The question is, can we get an even better one? So I'll give you two ideas. The first thing you can try is the same VOR-c drill that we did, but now I want you to do some bouncing as you do it. A little bit harder to balance and stabilize. This is going to provide even more input from some different areas in the vestibular system in terms of its anatomy. So that's one idea you could try, and then of course assess, reassess, just like we did. The other idea is to do this traveling. So you can literally walk forwards and backwards as you do your VOR-cs. You're traveling. You're trying to maintain good posture. You're trying not to walk in any kind of a rigid way, just nice and relaxed, and coordinate everything just like we talked about. That will also add additional levels of vestibular load. You could do this walking forwards, you could do it walking backwards, and yes, you should assess both directions because you might find that one direction actually helps you a lot. All right, guys, that is what I had planned to show you today. I hope that this video served as a nice introduction to thinking differently and doing things differently based on applied neuro. The idea that I want you to really have in your mind right now is how your eyes and your inner ear could absolutely be linked to the chronic neck tension that you're experiencing, especially if your chronic neck tension has not responded well to the traditional things that people like to do, like stretching and releasing. Now, there are tons of different ways that we could train the eyes and the inner ear. We go into that in great detail inside the Neuro Dojo. This was just one vestibular exercise that I wanted you guys to experience so that you could assess it and reassess it to try to get some clues as to whether or not training your vestibular system could be helpful for helping you to resolve your neck tension. And hopefully it was. If you have any questions regarding the exercise, how to use it, or anything even about the neuroanatomy, then certainly let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. That's it for today. If you like this video, give it the thumbs up. We really appreciate that. Every action that you take really helps us out, and it helps us find more people like you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please go ahead and do so, and I will see you in the next video.